What's going on, guys? Given it that we are at the eve of the Ribbit and also the eve of my very short hiatus, I figured I'd do a little bonus video. So we're doing another tier list here. We previously did a response video to the Crows tier list, but now we're doing our own fully original video here. Well, not really. I mean, this genre is obviously done to death, but today we're going to be looking at side deck cards. We're going to be using this tier list that someone on Tier List Maker made. I did not make this myself. I'm far too lazy to do that. So, yeah, we're just going to be starting off. So, first up on the list, we have Mask of Restrict. This card is not good. I mean, it was pretty alright as a blowout card against, like, old Frog Monarch decks, but no one really plays that deck anymore, and it's not really good for much else, so, yeah. Not much to say. This card sucks. Don't play it. Maybe in, like, Aliens or X-Sabers, I guess, is, like, the only real applications I would say this has, and those you honestly might main deck it, so not much of a sideboard card really at all, honestly. I feel like decks are more likely to main this than side it, honestly. This card is obviously S tier. This card is in like every sideboard ever. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the best thing at doing what it does. I don't think anyone would dispute that Dust Tornado is an S tier side deck card. Breaker. God, this card is shit. Why would anyone side this? Holy, not good, not good. This might honestly be like a B. This thing's probably underrated. It's really good against, like, it's good against the Blackwing stuff, good against the Vayu stuff, good with, like, deck dev, good in those decks, or as a potential, like, sideboard option. Sometimes people, like, smokescreen into Vayu and run this too, I guess. Do we really count that, though? I don't know. But, I think it's at least okay. Maybe it's like C tier. It's hard to say. It is really good if you actually resolve it into Blackwing, so I guess I'll put it in B for now. This card sucks. I mean, this card is not good. Like, even the decks that are just all darks, of which there are not many, just have a bajillion outs to this. So it's like, why even? It's garbage. It loses to deck dev. It loses to Icarus attack. So, like, I mean, this thing just does not even work against the decks that it's intended to counter, really. So that's what I have to say about that. Cyber Dragon, S tier, obviously. It's in, like, every sideboard. It's got versatile applications. It goes into Chimera Tech Gatekeep Dragon, which is the reason that machine decks aren't that great in this format. So, yeah, it's good against, aggro decks that just try to, like, stick a beater on the field. It's good for a lot of things, so, yeah. Who even sides this card? Does someone side this? I don't know why it's in here, honestly. As I said, I didn't make this, but, I mean, yeah, just complete garbage. What are you doing? This card, it probably belongs in this tier. It just sucks. Like, it's not even good when it's good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's at most passable. And at worst, it just loses hard to anything. Crow, S tier. No one would dispute that. It's multi-purpose. It's amazing. You need it to deal with bullshit as well. So, yeah, it's like the best hand trap in the format. Basically, one of the only hand traps in the format, really. But yeah, really strong card. This card. It might be above C. Maybe it's either like at the top of C or the bottom of B for me. It's like, I guess there's just very few things that I would side it in. But, like, there's a lot of things that it's good against. Is the other argument, so. I think C is an okay spot. A lot of my teammates are high on Needle Ceiling. I don't really get it, but I'll put it in B anyway. This card's garbage. Don't play it. This is another thing like Gravity Bind, where I feel like there are more people who main this and just, like, weird aggro stun decks than actually side it. Like, I don't know who sides this thing. Zombie World. This card's a pretty good side deck. This might be like an A, honestly. I could see it. I think this is a really strong side deck card. Like in any kind of zombie deck, in any kind of deck that plays triple terraforming, also potentially. It definitely blows out a couple matchups, so if it has any kind of synergy with your deck, I would consider siding it. My body might also be an A. I think this card's really strong. It's like, yeah, it's not a blowout like Starlight Road is, but it's like a lot better in terms of playing into things or going second. It stops things like deck dev, and obviously it just stops a lot more than Starlight Road does. Starlight Road's more for like heavy, I guess. But I think there's more things that my body stops. It lets you just play aggressively a lot more than Starlight Road does, I think, because you don't have to worry about like bottomless and stuff. And like great against Icarus attack, very good against Blackwings in particular, I would say. T-Roar. Again, I kind of feel like this is more of a main deck card in a lot of decks. Like, I guess I could see siding it. It's probably better than these C tier cards. I guess I'll put it there. Trapstone. This is like an A tier card. We're in a really good Trapstone format, I think. Just being able to like flip it in response to Phoenix Wing or whatever, obviously very strong. Ever since the discard traps became popular, I think this card got a lot better. And it just lets you play aggressively on your turn, pretty much as you want, so yeah. It's like a 1-off or a 2-off. I think it's pretty good. Deprison. Whew. This is either like top of A or bottom of S. I think this card's crazy. Why is Bottomless not on this list? I would put Bottomless in S as a side deck card. I guess people might consider it more of a main deck card, and it is a good main deck card in a lot of decks, but I think Bottomless would be like an S tier side deck card for me. I side in pretty much everything. It's just so good against like Blackwings, Gladiator Beasts, decks like that, so I'm gonna leave this at the top of A for now. Electric Virus. This is like an A tier card. People need to play these Change of Heart monsters from Strike of Neos more. They're so good. Like, this is probably the best one. Takes machines and dragons. And then the other two are pretty good too, though. Yeah, I don't even know if this is the best one, but yeah, the trouble is, I guess, what do you side them in? Like, there's some funky decks that play like Sphere of Chaos, like the one I showed on the channel, where you can always decide one of each of these because they're level 3s. But I think if there's a certain like matchup you're worried about where this is just a blowout card, or like the other two are, you could probably consider siding them because they're pretty crazy. Dyna, I consider this to be like a solid B tier. It was probably better in like the previous meta earlier this year, but I think it's kind of fallen off because people are just like playing outs, tons of outs to it in their main deck now, because it was so ubiquitous as a side deck card back in like Hero Frog format or whatever. So I'm gonna put it in top of B for now. Fog King. This card is just worse than Mask of Restrict. Like, I don't see how it could possibly be better. So yeah. GB Hunter. It's like in C somewhere. I don't know where. It's like okay as pre versus Gladiator Beast, but honestly, there are better cards you could pre versus Gladiator Beast. Like, even Mirror of Oaths and Swallow Flip should probably be better. Trunade. I could see this being a B tier, maybe. Thing is, it's like, I don't know, there's like not that many decks where Trunade is that great and you just wouldn't main it, so I don't really know if it deserves to be this high. I'm gonna leave it at like the bottom of B for now, but I'm not sure. Mirror of Oaths. This card's pretty reasonable, honestly. It's like, there are certain matchups it's very good against, and then there are other matchups where it's like okay against, so it's like maybe worth considering. This card sucks. Chain Disappearance, garbage. Like in here somewhere. Just don't side this. Jinzo. I mean, it's like a way worse than siding Decree. Maybe in like Frog Monarchs, you could side it, but like you want to play traps and frogs. I don't know. I could see maybe higher in C tier, like here. It's probably not as bad as all these. I don't know. It's pretty bad though. Wangu. If you can run this card, it's probably alright. I could see it being B tier. I don't know. People don't really side this a lot. It's hard to say. Vortex is A tier for sure. I think like maybe even top of A tier. I don't know. I haven't really put these in good order within the tiers, but yeah, I think Vortex is really strong though. Very good against like Lightsworn and Dragons. Just having that board wipe can win you the game immediately. This card sucks. I don't know why I skipped to it, but my eye was drawn to it, and it sucks. Don't play it. It like loses everything. Loses to Oppression, loses to Bottomless. It's just like a 2200. It doesn't really wall anything of significance. So, yeah. This card's pretty good. I could see this being like an A, honestly. I think this card's kind of nutty. I do think it's probably worse than Snowman Eater because it's 18. But then again, getting to stack things on top of the deck is like really good compared to what Snowman Eater does, but Snowman Eater is more likely to stick around, especially against like the aggro decks you would side it against. And it's like more, there are more decks that it's good in probably. Whatever. Messenger Piece, this card sucks. Again, like Aliens maybe, but you probably main it, so that's about the only application I could think of. Mobius is garbage. Mobius sucks. I mean, maybe it's not D tier. I don't know. Maybe in like Frogs you can side this and it's like okay. Since Starlight Road's fallen out of the meta a bit, I think I'll put it in B. Like over with Jinzo or something is like a possible mid side deck card in Frogs. I don't know. I don't really know enough about Frogs to say, but yeah. Nobleman. I might put this. It's like either top of B or bottom of A for me. I do think it's maybe a little overrated. A lot of people think this is like one of the best side deck cards. And it's just like, there's not enough decks that it's good against, I think, is the main thing. It's like really good against Raikou decks, but there's a lot less of those these days. So it's like Vayu, Quick Draw maybe. But then those decks also have a ton of plays that just don't set monsters. Like, what if they just make some other play where they like summon face-up threats that you have to deal with, like, and you just have a Nobleman in your hand? It just feels kind of gambly as a side deck card, where it's like sometimes you'll blow them out, but then sometimes it's freaking useless. So, and that's even against the decks it's good against. I think one of the big weaknesses of this card is there's just not enough decks that are setting the format. Like going faster has probably made this card a bit worse because people are just like playing way faster and not really just set passing so much anymore. This card, I mean, it's just worse than Dust Tornado by a lot. I guess I could put it in B maybe. That feels kind of excessive though. I don't know why. I don't know why people side this, honestly. I guess there are maybe some potential matchups where it's okay, but it's like there's so much better spot removal in the format that can hit back row than this card. And it's like it loses so bad to Floodgates, which are the main decks that you need the back row removal against. So yeah, I'll put it in the middle of C somewhere. I think it's terrible. This card's got to be A. Not even because it's like a great blowout sideboard card, just because it's so good, period. Like, from playing the Neospatian deck, I've just gathered that this card's amazing. This card is just insane. I want to play more decks with it. It just feels so strong. Just having a constant recurring, like, compulse. This card can just win you the game by itself. It's like, it just answers so many different things, like set monsters it answers for free, just synchros it eats for free. Just It can tempo your opponent out. It's great on any winning board state. So yeah, Grenmol, just nutty card. Very good against like Vayu. Very good against anything that sets a lot. Anything that synchros a lot. Just pretty much a great card against like everything but like 2010 Blackwings and maybe Hero Beat. I don't know. I can see it being bad against something like that, but otherwise, card's insane. Pulling the Rug. It's probably an A tier. A ton of people side this. It's good against a lot of things. I could even see it top of A. It looks like a really, really good card. Skill Drain. This thing's probably an A too. I think it's pretty lame as like a main deck card, but if your deck can play under Skill Drain, I think siding it could be really strong. Deck Dev. This has got to be an S. This card just ends games. So if you can side Deck Dev, definitely do it. That card is nuts. That card is not fair. That card is degenerate. Smashing Ground. I think it's worse than Vortex, probably. Maybe B somewhere. Snowman Eater. I'm for S tier on this card. I think this card's amazing. Against like any kind of aggro deck, it's just like the best thing you can side in, I think. Just completely stops them. Sticks on the field, gets you a free plus. Like, it's so good against like Hero Beat or Gladiator Beast or anything like that. Card is crazy. And it has a lot of potential synergies with a lot of decks. Like, it's a debris target, it's a water for absolute zero. It just does so many things, and it's kind of the strongest monster that does what it does, where it's just like flips up, kills a guy, you know? So, yeah. I've never been high on Soul Release. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this card. I think it's... I'm a supporter of Crow over any of these other, like, banishing from the graveyard cards. I think Crow's by far the best one, and you should just play Crows. And if you don't think you have enough Crows, play more Crows. That's where I'm at on that. Spirit Reaper... Man, there's just, like, not a lot of decks that this card is great against. It's like dragons, maybe a couple other things, but... I mean, if you're playing zombies and you don't want to main it, but I think you should main it if you're playing zombies, but... Yeah, I would put it in C. Like, you probably should either be maining this or not, in most decks. So, and like the variant of dragons that it's good against is not even like the popular one right now, so yeah. Starlight Road. This card used to be played a lot. As like a one-off in the sideboard, I think it's pretty good, so I still consider running it. So I'm going to put it in like relatively high B tier, probably. System down. Just play Cyber Dragon. Yeah, end of discussion there. Just play Cyber Dragon. This card sucks. I've never seen anyone side in anything ever. Thunder King. Thunder King's pretty good. Thunder King's probably like A tier. Great against like... Well, insane against gadgets. Really good against like zombies and stuff. Which is a top deck, I think. Yeah, I'd say Thunder King's really strong. I would consider it. Vanity's Fiend. It's better than Dyna because it's not like shit easy to just attack over it. So, I mean, there are tons of decks that just like say, okay, I'll start running like some 1400 monsters or whatever to kill Dyna, but you can't do that with Vanity's Fiend, so you actually do need to just draw a piece of monster removal to actually get rid of this. So it's got much more potential to blow out than Dyna, I think. Even though Dyna has the secondary effect, I'm still going to put Vanity's Fiend a bit higher. This card sucks. I've never seen anyone side this either, honestly, but it sucks. Trap Hole? Like, if this were bottomless, I would put it in, like, maybe even S. But it's not. It's, like, way worse than bottomless. Just the fact that it does not banish the monster makes it so much worse. I guess I could put it in, like, B, maybe. It's like there's so many better ways of disrupting normal summons than this, though. Like, even Book of Moon is probably a better side deck card. If you just want ways to, like, stop their normal from doing things. Gozen and Rivalry. Rivalry's better than Gozen, but neither one is particularly good, especially if the ruling changed, so... Yeah, these kind of suck. The fact that you can just tribute over stuff in Edison, and this has been clarified that it works this way, means that these are just way, way worse. Mind Crush. This is an S tier. I love this card. I side in everything. I even main it sometimes. I just think it's crazy. It's so awesome. And even if you don't play with the special tournament rule, there are lots of situations where you can get hand knowledge with this card. So, or at least if you miss, I think. But yeah, the card's just great. I really love it, being able to rip things. It's very strong against a lot of control decks and stuff like Quick Draw or maybe even Frogs, because you know they'll always have the swap. So I'm a big fan of Mind Crush. This card is probably like the best knockoff Dust Tornado. It's like, if you play a deck that runs like Decree or is scared of Decree, I could definitely see playing this over Dust Tornado. So I think it's like a solid potential option if you don't want to run Dust Tornado. Light Imp. I'm probably going to put this higher than most people would. Maybe I'll put it in like B instead of A, I don't know. It's like only good against 2 decks, but it's a pretty sizable blowout against those 2 decks, so... I mean, maybe I could put it in A. I'll leave it at B for now. It's like... Fairies have kind of fallen out of the meta. Lightsworn has fallen out a bit compared to where it was. Lightsworn used to be like one of the most popular decks, I think. And people still do play it, so... Yeah, I think I'll leave it in B. B's a fine place for it. Level limit. I'm just putting this down here with all of these. I think the same logic applies to all of this crap. Chalice is terrible. There's like always a better card than this. I think this is way worse than Trapstun. Or, well, not maybe not way worse, but it's significantly worse than Trapstun. Like, why not just play Trapstun? The fact that you have to pay 1,000 is, like, not insignificant. Life points like that matter a lot. Like, 1,000 life points is a lot of life points. And I get that it's a counter trap, but, like... I don't know. I think Trapstun's way better. It's true that, like... Trapstun not being a counter trap is a weakness, but Trapstun's effectively like a mini Cold Wave for that turn. And it's still like chainable to stuff, so... Yeah, I think Trapstun does way more than this. Di-Fi? It's like okay. There's not a lot of decks that can really side it. I guess it's the big issue. But it's good against like a fair deal of things. If you're playing like Glads, maybe it's alright. But yeah, there's just not a lot of decks that I think really side this card effectively. Maybe they could. Maybe it's like an underutilized thing, but yeah. Decree. This thing is high. I almost want to put it in S. This thing's crazy. This thing is such a blowout in a lot of situations. Like, if you can side this card, it will just win games if they can't out it, so... I'm putting it way high up there. This has to be S. Like, Oppression's one of the craziest cards in the format. And obviously there are matchups where it's bad, but... We're talking about as a sideboard card, and as a sideboard card, it is absolutely ridiculous. Even as a main deck card, it's absolutely ridiculous, honestly, so... Yeah, I don't think anyone would dispute putting Oppression in S. Oppression is crazy. Oppression is just... The entire meta is literally warped around this card existing, like... It's so wild. Maybe it's not as good as it used to be, with a lot of, like, mid-range and more combo-heavy decks playing all these discard traps and stuff. And, you know, the prevalence of, like, stuff like Trapstun and Dust Tornado and all these, but... Like, the fact that everyone just has to run outs to this kind of proves just how nuts it is as a card. So, like, yeah, Oppression's nuts. So I think with that we have our list. Maybe there's some cringe hot takes on here. I don't know. Let me know if I did anything that's too wacky. I don't know. I could have easily made a mistake. I have been known to make mistakes in the past, so. But yeah, I think this is a pretty solid list. At least these cards at the top, I think, are like indisputably like top best side deck cards. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed your little bonus video for the day. That's gonna be it for now, though, and I'll see you guys in a week when I get back. So, peace out until then.